So, welcome to episode 8 of the 24-Hour Hustle Show, and today we got special guest and a good friend of mine, BusCrates. He is a music producer in the city of Pittsburgh. We're going to definitely talk about music, music production, how you could become a music producer, and more. Welcome to the show. My name is Anthony Freeze. I am the host of the 24-Hour Hustle Show, and today we got special guest BusCrates here. Definitely glad to have you on. Definitely been a time where we can actually get together again, reconnect, and talk about all the things you got going on.
Definitely,
so,
man. It's always good to look at you too,
absolutely.
man. It's like this brother, man. I've known this brother for years.
Right.
Back since the greenhouse days.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, because a lot of people don't know. I actually used to produce a little bit back in the day too. Because I mean,
he was nice with it too.
I mean, I love hip hop, love music. I love being creative, and that's when me and BusCrates got the opportunity to connect and everything. Mm-hmm. And I love this man's music. I mean, the stuff that he creates is absolutely ridiculous. If you haven't heard, you have not heard, you got to listen to. As a matter of fact, he actually produced the music that's in the intro for the show and the outro.
Yeah.
So so that's a nice little tidbit there in case you did not know. But we're gonna get right into the show, get a chance to find out some more about this man if you do not know.
I'm telling y'all nothing.
No. So so what's been going on with you? The past couple of days, or what you got going on?
Just chilling, man. Getting ready to go to Chicago for the weekend. Got a couple DJ gigs out there, and then back for a week, then I'll be going to LA for some stuff, and then I'm going to Baltimore for another DJ gig. Then I come back home and sit down for a minute.
Right, man, that's always on the move. I mean, you got shows all over the place all the time. It seems like every time I hit you up, you're about to do a show, which is a good thing.
It's a great thing.
And not only that, I mean, you got your equipment here with you. I mean, always,
how I roll, man,
always ready to go. And we're definitely gonna get into some details about the equipment that he uses and some things that you could definitely get into. But as we do always on this show, let's get into your origin story, your background, your upbringing, how you were raised, and what inspired you to get into music. Because for some viewers out there, they're just always trying to find that inspiration or what's that thing that's going to get them going. So, how did you discover music? How did you get into music? And what are some influences?
I guess the thing I could say was I was kind of like born into music, man, because I'm from Wilkinsburg. I was born, back in many years ago, whatever. But my dad and my mom, they had records. They had all kinds of records, and there was always music around the house. And that's the first thing I gravitated to was music. And low key, my dad was a DJ. Yeah, low key.
Back in the day, okay. Pops was a DJ.
Yeah, he used to do his little thing back in the early '80s. Yeah.
Okay.
I remember he had this. He had a pair of turntables. He had one on each side, and then he would rock this silver mixer. It was like, you know how most mixers are flat, like that. It was like up at an angle. It was like how this is, and then the crossfader was like, it was about. I remember that it was about '83.
Okay.
When I remember seeing that, yeah.
Okay.
But this is like as a kid, I was always he would always play music, and I was raised on some great music, and it stayed with me till this day.
What kind of music would you say was like the things that was like really getting you into it?
I mean, anything from like Roy Ayers. I'm about to start rhyming.
Oh yeah, go ahead, go for it.
From Roy Ayers to Ohio players. You know what I'm saying? That whole thing. Roy, Stevie Wonder, of course. So many Gil Scott-Heron. So much good music I grew up around, and I really took a liking to a lot of it.
So Pops was definitely a huge inspiration
absolutely,
on that,
without question. Definitely.
That's what's up. So so even moving forward, when you were getting into music, what was the point where you actually started to do the music yourself and starting to, get into music for yourself? What was it that got you started in making your music?
Well, I was a DJ before I started making music.
Okay.
I first got hooked on the turntables back in I was a little kid, back in '86. I remember the legendary Sly Jock.
Okay.
From back in the day, he was a Whammo DJ. He was DJing at the spot.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember going up I was always near the turntable. That's another thing. Like every time I go somewhere, somebody's doing something, and there was turntables there. I was always like right by the turntables, trying to see what was going on. And he was nice enough to let me like get on and do a couple little blends. I remember he had cameos, Word Up, on a 12 on 12 inch on both tables, and I was kind of like doing a little blends on it or whatever. And that was the moment right there. I mean,
So you were like always in the presence of music.
always.
And it seemed like you were at the right place at the right time, especially in that situation when you say you were around the turntables and things like that.
Yep.
Who are some other artists that also maybe inspired you at that point in time? I mean, in the 80s, hip-hop is starting to emerge. I mean, you got
definitely.
a lot of Rakim.
Eric B. Rakim, Public Enemy.
Public Enemy and stuff like
cool
that.
Classic joints, King, Juice Crew, all them,
Absolutely. Who are some other artists that also inspired you to get into the hip-hop game and getting into DJ and things like that?
I mean, it always usually starts with like Run DMC and things like that. I remember I went to Fresh Fest back in the day.
Okay.
It was a great show. It was Run DMC, Houdini, I think LL was there. I forget. It was 31 years ago, something like that. But yeah, but it was a real dope show. I remember that just being at that. It was at the Civic Arena.
Okay, yeah. Take us back.
Not the Mellon Arena. not the what's the new one they got now? The PPG place.
Yeah.
Nah. This is the Civic Arena.
Right.
The dome joint. Yeah.
So that's where they held it at.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's dope. I mean, and that sounds. I mean, the lineup.
Was crazy.
Had to be crazy.
Definitely.
But so
just growing up on all that music, man, it was just had a huge effect on me. Watching Crush Groove and all of that. Yeah.
So what was like the first piece of equipment that you got, or for somebody that's trying to start to become a music producer and things like that? How did you get your start?
My first piece of equipment, I'll never forget this. It was an Ensoniq EPS sampler, the keyboard sampler. It was not the 16 plus, the regular one, 12-bit joint. But real good friend of mine, man. It's like my brother, man. This producer around here named G-Man. He's actually the dude where I got started. So I was always watching him. We would DJ at the crib, or whatever. But then he started making music, and then I would always go like on digging trips with him. And we was picking the records or whatever. And he figured he was like, yo, man, you got an ear, man. You need to get you a board, man. So I was like, I got me an EPS and a little turntable and was making little joints, and there it is.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, some of the terms like digging and stuff like that, what does that mean for some of the viewers that have no clue?
Well, digging is just going out searching different places for old records, like record stores, obviously, flea markets, wherever else you can find. Just going to go, because I was probably like one of the last generations. Before all the YouTube and all the internet stuff came about, we had to like actually go out and like, look for this stuff, because there was no iTunes or Spotify or any of that stuff. That stuff didn't exist right there, so we had to like go out and get our fingers dirty.
That's what's up. I remember actually one time where I actually got the opportunity to go do some digging with you before. We went down to Jerry Records before to go get some stuff. I can't remember what I picked up, but I remember getting a couple albums and some records and things like that to do some sampling. So definitely did some good work that day.
Yeah, you put in work, man.
Yeah, so those were definitely some good times. And that's the things that I would even recommend some people to actually still do today. Just to, get that feel of the essence of what it was actually like to, go digging and trying to find these gems.
Well, I guess it's a different day now, like with the technology and everything. I mean, it's great for, I always, love it when the younger generation is out here trying to find records, but you have to be careful because some of these stores are gouging prices and records it's getting more expensive. It's getting much more difficult to be out here doing it. So you kind of got hit the dollar bins and hope for the best.
I see. I got you. So where did you actually even get the name BusCrates? I think the name is definitely creative. I love the name. Where did it come from?
Literally, like going to DJ gigs, carrying crates of records on the bus because I didn't have a car. So I would just throw a crate or two on the 71A and go do what I had to do.
Right. That's what's up. So that's how I got started. Okay, cool.
Very literal.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. It doesn't get more literal than that. So, how many records would you say you were carrying in those crates?
Let me see. I would usually have a bag, and then I would have like maybe a crate or two.
Okay. And this is when, and at what point in time was this? Like, what year when you were doing the DJing?
This had to be early 2000s, I think.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Yeah,
So, so for somebody that wants to become a music producer, what would you say, what would be some good advice for somebody that can get their start as a music producer?
Well, these days it's a whole heck of a lot easier to get started because back in those days you had to have like crazy money to get like an MPC sampler or like even to buy like some analog synths or whatever. But it's like the way it is, this is like the perfect time because you could go out and get like an SP404 sampler like this, which is battery operated. You know what I mean? You could be making beats anywhere now. I could be on the bus right now with this and my iPad with a bunch of apps and just be on there just
right
tipping away. You could be in the middle of Mellon Park, just this and maybe like a battery operated synthesizer, USB controller or something, and just and a lot of it's like not very expensive.
Right. Yeah, some of the stuff,
few hundred bucks here and there, you'll be able to do your thing, man.
Right. Some of the crazy stuff that you were showing me was on this app. Some of the different things that you can have on there. I mean, you can practically have your own drum machine on your iPad.
Definitely. You could let me see. Let me pull it up here. You can definitely do so many.
And now, what's this app called that you use?
This one here is called Beatmaker 3.
Beatmaker 3.
Yeah.
And how much did this cost to get?
I want to say I got it on sale at the time. I think it was like $20 or something. But you can really be. You can sample drums into here. Gotcha.
Yeah, crazy stuff. I mean, he was showing me some stuff before the show. Crazy stuff that you could do on here, and you can literally like make an album off of this, right?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, and there's a ton of other stuff on there too. As far as apps that you could get,
definitely
different synthesizers and stuff like that. So yeah, actually, since we're on the subject, what's like your arsenal of different tools that you use to make your music?
Oh man, this is just the beginning right here. Let me see. What do I use? I have like at home. I have like an MPC 2000 XL. Have a bunch of different little Korg synthesizers. I have a Rhodes. I have a Moog little fatty. I had a Prophet 6 synthesizer. I mean, just different little things. And a bunch of effects pedals, of course.
Oh yeah, you always messing with the effects. I feel like your stuff, it has its own unique sound. That a lot of people can't really even duplicate. That's what I really like about it.
Well, I thank you for saying that, man. So, a good friend of mine told me that a while back, man, and like now to hear it confirmed again is like, wow, maybe I'm on to something.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm telling you, man, your stuff is dope.
Thank you. Man.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, it's definitely dope. So what are some other pieces of equipment that you would recommend? There's definitely the apps and stuff like that. What can someone do as a music producer to start the recording and stuff like that? Would someone go about recording their music and things like that? Or what's your process when you're recording music and doing your producing?
It varies. I guess it depends on what it is I'm trying to do. Like, I could go from making just like a straight up sample bass track, or I could like make a sample bass track and put some keys on it or whatever, or I could just play some keys and put some drums on it and just no sample. It can go so many different directions, and with all these different tools at my disposal, there's no telling how I'm going to start.
Right. Cool.
Yeah.
So how did you get to the point of, because one of the things that you also have been able to do is release music as well. How do you go about distributing your music whenever you're getting stuff out there, especially in today's age?
Well, the internet, it makes so many different things and so many different connections possible now, man. Like, I mean, there's always different musical social media platforms you can use, like Bandcamp, of course, and SoundCloud and things like that to get your music heard. And it's just, I guess it's just the luck of the draw, man. I've been very lucky and very fortunate that, that certain people have gravitated toward, my music and my sound.
Yeah, because one of the things that you've always been able to do is being able to get yourself out there by doing a lot of shows.
Yeah.
So how were you able to get those opportunities? Definitely give us like the inside scoop, because that's important to know, because a lot of people don't get the opportunity to go do shows and stuff like that.
I guess the thing for me was, it was about people finding me on social media and then, reaching out to me and then, we network and talk and like they might set something up to where I can go play where they are or whatever. It's all about networking really.
Mm-hmm. Meeting the right person.
Meeting the right person and being in the right place at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
And, just.
Yeah, because
that's really it, man. Because I have no, my skill in that is not the greatest. So I'm just lucky that people find me.
Right, and people definitely do find you.
Yeah.
And one of the great things that you also been able to do is since you've been producing music, you've been actually able to put out 2 cassette albums that you've been able to do.
Cassette albums. I got a gang of vinyl records that came out. I think my first record came out in 2009.
Mm-hmm. And what was that called?
It was just self-titled. It was a little 7-inch. Came out. This cat here, Andrew Berger, who ran Harmony Society.
Okay.
He put it out. That was my first taste of record. When you like they say when you get that first one,
mm-hmm.
you want more.
Yeah. You become addicted to it. What was the process like of putting that together for somebody who's never put a record together or put an album together? What was the process like?
Well, for that first one, it was like I put together a collection of tracks that I thought would fit nicely together. And once he was starting a label,
mm-hmm.
and he wanted me to submit some joints, and then I gave him those, and then he put it out.
Yeah. Okay. And then one of the great things you also have been able to do is connect with Ben on the record label Thrash Flow. How did you get that relationship established?
I got that started when I lived in Atlanta, Georgia. I was down there, and a good friend of mine, Count Bass D, he hooked that up.
Mm.
He knew the lady who ran Thrash Flow, and she actually reached out to me once to do something before, but I was in a different headspace at the time, and I had a lot of stuff going on down there, so I didn't quite get around to it. But right when I came back home, like not long after that, she reached out to me again. I was like, you know what? This is the perfect opportunity. This is the perfect time to get this rolling.
Mm-hmm. And then, so based off that, you were able to come out with your other cassette tape, Home Again.
Yeah.
So now you come out with your second one. How did you think the process was like making that second one versus doing the first one?
Well, the second one was the newest one is definitely more hip hop oriented, like beat oriented, whereas my original my tape from 2014, which was called The Spectrum, was more on the like old school 80s boogie electro funk kind of Kashif kind of vibe, because that's the kind of stuff I really like to do. I like to play that out a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So now even getting to the point of doing your shows and things like that, because right now you're getting set this weekend to go out to a different show.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us, like, where are the different places that you're going right now?
I'm going to Chicago this weekend, and after that I'll be back here for a week. Then I'm going out to LA to play at a Funkmosphere, which is like the really big, like modern funk and boogie kind of event out there, hosted by people. Dame Funk.
Mm-hmm.
He spearheaded that whole movement, so it's gonna be Dame and like a bunch of other cats. And then there's this real dope husband and wife duo, electro funk duo out of Atlanta called the APX, and I'm actually gonna meet them out there.
Okay.
And this will be my first time actually meeting them
mm-hmm.
in person. I actually did a track on their album.
Mm-hmm.
But this will be my first time seeing them in person and
mm-hmm.
being able to watch it do that thing live, man. The killer.
Yeah. So you're into a lot of electro funk.
Yeah, like that boogie
mm-hmm.
funk electro. Yeah, that's really what
that's where your heart's at.
My heart is now. But I mean, I definitely still do my hip hop stuff,
mm-hmm.
of course too.
So who inspired you? What artists inspired you to get into that?
Well, I mean, I grew up listening like people like Kashif, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Rest in peace.
Mm-hmm.
Kashif. Listening to like One Way and different funk groups of the 80s, like Confunction and things like that.
Mm.
Yeah.
So how? Just for some of the audiences that may be watching, that wants to be a music producer, how would someone go about getting in contact with artists and getting their beats out there and working and connecting with people that can rap over their tracks? How would someone go about
that's
connecting with
always
artists?
been the most difficult part for me.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. It's always
but you have been able to work with different artists.
Yeah, I have worked with quite a few different people. But the thing about that is like I'm like I said before, I'm fortunate, man. Like people will reach out to me and say, yo, let's do this, or yo, can you do this? You want to be on this or whatever. I don't these most of the stuff that I've done, I've been very, very fortunate that people have approached me, or I haven't had to like really do much of an approaching, because that's not my strong point. I need to definitely ramp up on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So who are some artists that you've worked with so far?
Let me see. I did a track for me and my friend Sam Champ. We did a track together for Fonte and Eric Roberson on their album Tigolero that came out last year.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see, who else? I used to rock with before he blew up. I've done quite a few tracks for Mac Miller.
Okay. I mean, he's a big deal now.
Oh, yeah, he's a huge deal now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else. Man, I don't know. I've done quite a bit over the years.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me see. Trying to think of what else there may be. So like whenever you're making your music, where do you get your samples from, or what's your thought process? I mean, because I know you say there's a lot of different places you can take it, but like, what are some like inside, like if you were making a beat today and you wanted to, come up with something, what would be like your process on making that?
I guess I usually try to like start with some drums, and I find some drums on some record. I'll find like let's say for example, I pull it out like Rufus Thomas, do the Funky Penguin. I'll find a 45 of that and then just like cut the drums up and make a little drum pattern or whatever, and see what I can think of that goes with that. Yeah, it usually starts with it. Not always, but it usually starts with me like chopping some drums. Yeah.
And where does it go from there? I mean, because you do. I mean, it can't be that simple.
Oh yeah, it's pretty much that simple, man. It's like once you get the foundation, which is usually the drums. Once you get that down, and like hop over on the Moog and make like a little bass line or whatever, and find all these. It's just a hodgepodge of different things, man. It's like I'll just walk in and okay, I got these drums here. Let me go play this bass line and see what sample I can fit in there. Yeah.
So, like, did you teach yourself to play like the keyboard and stuff like that, and play on the Moog, or how did you learn that?
Yeah,
like,
pretty much self-taught for the most part. I mean, I've had people show me things here and there, and also YouTube is a great asset if you're trying to figure out certain things. Just look it up on YouTube, and you'll usually find what you're looking for 9 times out of 10.
Okay. So with a lot of yourself, you say you were self-taught with a lot of things.
Yeah.
Was there anybody that may have helped you along the way, or was it like a certain clip that helped you? Like, what were some things that helped you like take your game up to the next level? Because I mean, there's definitely a process that you had to go through. Like, I'm pretty sure when you first started, it wasn't the exact sound that you have today.
Oh, definitely not.
Like,
definitely not.
take us through that growth period. Like, I need to know that.
Okay. All right, so I guess when I first started, like I said, I had the EPS sampler on turntable with some records or whatever, and I guess I was looking for something to add to that. I wanted to bring some sort of dynamic to it, to what I was doing, as opposed to just straight samples and loops or whatever. And I gravitated because I always found myself sampling like old records with old synths and Rhodes and stuff with it. So I was one day I was just like, you know what? It would be dope if I just got my own sense and try to figure out how to learn and figure out how to play certain things. But I mean, I didn't get it at first,
right?
Obviously, but it took some time for me to be able to say, okay, put things together.
So how did you learn? Did you learn like watching a lot of YouTube clips, or was it just kind of messing around with it?
Yeah, messing around with it. I mean, a little bit of both. But see, this is before YouTube.
Okay.
So I was just listen to the record and try to like figure it out by ear. Like I said, my ear was crazy, so I was always trying to he put this and this, because I don't know how to read sheet music or anything. I just kind of, like I said, I just kind of just play by ear. Yeah.
So how would you describe your sound in the beginning versus now?
Well, my sound in the beginning was 100% sample based. So I was just like, whereas now it's like I've expanded, like where I got all my analog synths, and then I can also reach out to different drummers or trumpet player or things like that. I think the most difficult thing for me in terms of making music is trying to find like an MC or a singer. That's always the most difficult part for me for whatever reason. But yeah, like I could call a drummer, I could call a trumpet player, or even a flautist.
So what would you say? So for somebody that's starting out, what would you say are some of the challenges that they may, encounter, and how would you say that they can overcome some of those?
I think the biggest challenge, honestly, man, is trying to get yourself out there and trying to get yourself heard in a sea of millions and billions of producers. You know what I mean? Just because it's like everybody does this now. And then that's like the struggle is trying to get your name out there. And I guess the best thing to do is to stick with it. If you really, really love this and you really want to do this, stick with it. Stay diligent. Just stay on your path. Don't let anything knock you off of your path, man, because you never know what could happen.
Right. I feel like the number one thing is just put out quality music.
Facts.
I mean, if you're putting out dope music, I mean, there's no way that, the stuff that you're putting out can go unnoticed.
They say cream rises to the top.
Exactly. So, and that's what I feel like with your music. I mean, your stuff is dope. Like, there's no way, like, somebody can have this go unheard or unseen. And that's why I feel like a lot of your success has come from is the core of the music actually being good.
Right. And that's what it's about first and foremost for me. It's always going to be about the music first and foremost, because it's like, the way it is now, it's always like it's more about an image or a brand, or you gotta look like this, or you gotta do a collab with this person to get this. It's not about that for me. It's always about the music first and foremost. So because I want somebody 10, 15 years from now to look back and be like, yo, this is dope. You don't want to be a flash in the pan or like a one-hit wonder kind of person, whereas you're just like one and done and nobody remembers you.
So what are so if you can expand on that a little bit more, what would you say are some of the things that people can improve on to make the state of the music today even better?
Study. I think, honestly, man, I think people need to like really, really study their history, study their past, like look at people like I said, growing up on all that music, I listened to Stevie Wonder, I listened to James Brown, I listened to a lot of young people. Sometimes they kind of just write off the past. It's like everything starts with them. They don't, which kind of I think gives them like a shaky foundation. Because if you don't have that foundation to build upon, you're not going to stand up.
Exactly. You should definitely,
like I said, you gotta do the knowledge, man.
Absolutely, you should definitely pay respect to the people that have paved the way.
Definitely. And then just make find your own voice within that. That's the thing.
Yeah, I know when I was making music back in the day, I mean, that's what I would do. I would study, the stuff that came out beforehand to see what different things that I can pull from, because I one of the things that I like to do was sample. And you definitely have to go, back even further, to be honest, when you're trying to find like some unique stuff, things that may have never been used before, and try to find some type of unique sound, put a nice little flip on it, make it your own, and so that when people listen to it, like, yo, this is a dope record, nice little twist on it. I mean, and because that's where, hip hop even originated from, where people would play records and things like that, and they would, next thing you know, they were scratching.
Yeah, man, plugging up the street lights and just going in and having little park jams like they did back in New York back in the day.
Right. The next thing you know, MCs come into place, and they rapping over, old records and things like that. And then you start coming out with machines like this where you can flip stuff even more. And now it's to the point where the sky's the limit.
It really is. And it's funny you mentioned like the old school stuff, because I've been listening to a lot of that lately. I've been listening to like a lot of like old school rap, like late 70s, early 80s stuff like Spoonie G and Treacherous 3 and that kind of thing. That's the last couple of days. Matter of fact, this morning, I've just been on that kick lately.
Yeah.
Curtis Blow. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Legends in there. I mean, I feel like if you
OGs, you gotta pay respects to the OGs.
Exactly. I mean, they would be, they would be the what's that monument with the
Mount Rushmore?
Yeah, exactly. They should be on Mount Rushmore. You know what I mean? They would definitely be up there for sure. There would be more than 4 faces.
Oh yeah, there had to be at least 10. At least.
Exactly. Right. So even moving forward a little bit more, what are like some? Is there like any good insight or maybe even tips and tricks that maybe you've done that has, taken your music to the next level? Because like you said before, in the beginning, your music didn't necessarily sound the same. But what are some of the things that in the process has upgraded your music to another level?
The tools themselves, man. Like so many, like I said, with this iPad, like so many different things coming out, and it just gives you have there's no limit to what you can do now. You know what I mean? It's like, especially with all the built-in effects on a lot of these machines, and
right.
So it's limitless, man. It's like whatever. It's like pretty much like whatever you think of, you can do.
Right. There's pretty much no excuses at this point in time.
None.
Got you. So where do you see yourself going in like the next, 2 years, 5 years? What would be the legacy that you would want to leave, on people when it comes to your music and what you put out there?
I just want people to hear and feel that like I really make this music like from the heart and soul, man. Like it's not just like I don't sit down and say I'm gonna make this and I want this to be a top 40 hit, or this is really what I do, and I hope that resonates in everything I do,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's from the heart. It's
right.
it's a true passion of yours.
It really is.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are some big goals that you want to accomplish coming up that you would want to happen?
I want to get some shows overseas, man.
Yeah, I remember we talking about that.
Yeah, I want to get an 8-hour plane ride and go somewhere to rock a party, man.
Okay.
And it's coming. I know it is.
So what places would you want to go?
London, Copenhagen, Paris, Tokyo, somewhere over in Amsterdam. Indonesia.
Right,
I don't know.
a lot of other places.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure, and I remember one of the things that you also said beforehand, before the show, is you want to be able to get into some crates over there.
Yeah, exactly.
Get into the music over there, because a lot of the stuff that may be over there, I mean, we don't have access to.
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah.
Okay, and be able to put that in your collection.
Or you do have access to it, but it's just going to cost you.
Oh yeah.
You can go online and buy some of the stuff, but it's not cheap, and then the shipping is not cheap either. So
right.
I'd rather just be right there. Okay, this is coming home with me.
This is coming with me. Yeah. There's nothing like being in the actual presence of it too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. Being right there, you don't have to wait at your mailbox. You can actually just be there, just like coming through joints. Like,
Exactly.
Yep.
So where can people get your second cassette album? What's a good place where people can get that?
If you go to thrashflow.com, they'll have them there.
Okay.
That's the best place to get them straight from the source.
Right. And is this only on cassette? Is there any digital form?
There's a digital download of it, which
Okay.
is on my Bandcamp site.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm sure the real hip hop heads want to get the cassette tape. I recommend getting that. Get an old cassette player. Hook that up.
Yeah.
So you can jam to some BusCrates.
I got about 5 old Walkmans that don't work. Literally 5. I've dug them up over the, different trips to flea markets. I'm like, okay, this looks cool. Maybe this will work. Nope. This one, nope.
Right.
But they're out there.
That's what's
definitely worth having.
And actually, one of the things I did want to ask, which is unique, what made you decide to put your music on cassettes and on vinyl and things like that?
Well, I feel like the cassette has had a recent resurgence in popularity because, for one, it's really, really inexpensive to make. And for two, the turnaround process in making them is like very quick. And then that way, if you do a show, you'll have some merch to sell. Whereas if you try to press vinyl, which I would love to have more vinyl, but it's really expensive, and the turnaround time on it is so long and ridiculous.
Right. I got you.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, just in wrapping up, I definitely appreciate you coming on as always. I mean, we're definitely gonna kick it some more.
For sure, man.
Definitely looking forward to some more of the music that you got coming out with. I mean, because one of the cool things on your Instagram, you always putting up behind the scenes and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
I love watching those.
Oh yeah.
Because
I'm
then
all about that.
it gives me a chance to be like, okay, he's working on this. This will be coming out soon. So definitely check him out on Instagram and things like that. So now that you guys know what BusCrates does with his 24 hours, I want to know what you do with your 24 hours. Definitely like and subscribe to the channel. If you guys got any comments or questions or concerns, leave them down below. And we will see you on the next episode.